Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 412 of Pixels and Ink, the official podcast of CG Magazine, where we take a critical eye to gaming, comics, tech, and media. I'm your host today, Krista Hoog, and I'm joined by our editor-in-chief, Brendan Fry.
Hello.
Dana Eileen.
Ahoy, hoy.
And I don't have a good pun for being pictureless, but Jordan Biordi.
I'm pictureless, if you will.
Cool. We'll just let
That
you
works.
have that.
We'll call
Live
that
from Brazil. What time is it?
Live
there?
from sunny Brazil. The smiling friends went to Brazil.
Live from Brazil.
What time is it here?
Biordi.
It's actually 9:54 here.
So super different.
So your time is like not that much different, and you're just a
No,
wuss
well,
when you said
It's
that it's late.
it's.
I'm surprised. It's
well,
2 hours
okay.
ahead, but
I mean, considering we typically start these things at like 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and then we don't finish till like 11. Yes, I'd be
Oh, I'm
recording
sorry.
till 1 o'clock in the
1
morning.
a 1 a.m. That's
Yeah.
wild for you.
Because they don't observe daylight savings time here, so like the time never changes. So when we set the clock back, they go ahead 2 hours. The time difference normally is just 1 hour.
so Ed has entered the chat to say, "Baby," because he podcasts from like 3
Okay.
a.m.
Yeah.
Oh, you
yeah.
know what?
That's all relative.
I'm
Yeah, there you
old.
go.
I need to sleep. Okay, I'm an old
That is young.
geezer.
That's true. Well,
Didn't
younger.
we decide you're younger than me, or is he older?
I think.
Which
I
one?
think
I said both.
technically- No, Brendan's the oldest. I think I'm second oldest.
No,
How old are you, Jordan?
I'm 33.
35.
April.
here.
You're the youngest.
Oh, that's right. I was the baby. I thought I was the second
34,
oldest.
sucker. Just
See,
I'm
Chris,
the
Chris,
baby.
I was
youngest. That is not
Chris,
even
I was
almost.
giving you the benefit of the doubt.
Nah, I'm an old man.
You have a youthful glow
Hey.
about you.
Well, I appreciate that.
I just turned 34.
Nice. The big 3-4.
That's me.
Apparently, face
Yeah, you
masks
can
take like
vote.
3 or 5 years off my face. So
I love that for
that's
me.
what I learned.
And not
Someone
me.
was
I'm all
shocked that I
tired
had
in
2
the
kids,
eyes.
and I'm like,
I did grow my
all
beard
of
grew
this.
back mostly, so it's a bit of a
Oh yeah, forgot about that.
It came
you
back.
can't
We're
see
good.
it.
I saw it. I saw it on
Yeah, we're good.
TikTok. We're good.
yeah.
Yeah.
We're good.
Lots of good
We're back.
Brazilian things on TikTok. You know they have pizza flavored Doritos here.
That sounds
Sure.
amazing. Can
That
you?
tracks.
I don't see you when you're in this country, but I was like, can you bring me some because I love pizza flavored.
I'll try.
Ship it to
A
the
lot of cool
office.
stuff. I had Snickers with bacon and also one that was passion fruit. It was really good. And now I'm
That's the TikTok I saw, except
Yeah.
I didn't actually listen to any of it. I just immediately
Oh,
said
thanks.
beard and then I left.
just Thank you.
Watching people
Good-
eat freaks
good-
me out.
Good to know my fans are engaging with my content.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
don't
I
need-
did engage, just
I guess that's true. You
Okay,
helped that you drove the algorithm. Anyway, what are we doing here, Chris?
Well, anyways, yeah. So tonight we are going to chat about the Game Award nominations, which came out this week.
Woo.
So we have the honor of being one of 2 Canadian outlets among the panel of judges on the jury for this year, which is pretty cool for us.
along with it's CBC, right?
CBC is the other one, yeah. So
Yeah.
we're in good company there. But
Go team.
yeah, so we thought we'd kind of run through the game of the year and other award candidates, some of the more prominent ones at least. See what we can get through in an hour and see what we're thinking on some of these. Of course, we are.
We're
just a
actually
part
going to go
of-
an hour this time.
I have thoughts.
That's the plan.
That's the plan. But yeah, we're just a small part of our voting body for this. But this is our personal thoughts on these. So
We're a small
don't take
cog
that
in
as
a
don't
big
place any
machine,
bets
guys.
based on our comments.
Yeah.
So
There's 30 of
so-
us.
yeah, some of these I think are going to be landslides, but we'll talk about that.
yeah.
And not just from like our tallied votes, but from the whole
Yeah.
panel.
There's some
anyways,
games that
let's-
just didn't stand a chance. We're like, oh, good little buddies.
Well, speaking of the hottest competition, though, let's start with the game of the year, which is the big show. So our candidates are A Plague Tale Requiem, Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Stray, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Now, how many of each of these have you guys played, though?
I have played at least 2. I've got another one that I could check out beforehand. and possibly another one that I can play before the
Okay.
awards come.
Okay.
But that's it
I've
for me.
got Elden Ring. I've been around God of War quite a bit. I've played Forbidden West. I haven't played Stray, but I can. Xenoblade Chronicles
should.
is probably just not my content. And I
No.
have access to a Plague Tale, but I don't know. Wasn't that the one with all the rats?
Definitely the one with
Yes.
rats, yeah.
Big old rat fest.
So
Gross.
yeah, the
I have
talk for
played
this
all of one.
all of
All of Elden Ring.
Yep.
It's good.
yeah.
And you know what?
It's good.
You know what? It's fine. Because that's the obvious winner. I've
Is
seen
it
a lot.
though? I mean, God of War.
You know, I've seen a lot of God of War on TikTok, and I'm trying to avoid as much as possible because I like want to genuinely enjoy it when I get my hands on it. You know what? I could definitely see the contest really coming down to Elden Ring and God of War because like
Yeah.
a plague tale is like really good and really well received, and I know like without like I haven't actually had a chance to play it myself, but like everyone I know who's talked about it, who's played it, said like it was absolutely amazing, both like technically, visually, thematically, like everything about it is solid. But then like compared to the other stuff, like I know some of us had a really big thing for Stray, but I kind of feel like it fell off the map very fast after it came out because the allure of to cat lulls was like not enough to build a game on. And people just like stopped talking about it after a while. And Xenoblade is very niche. Like it kind of has its audience, but it's definitely not game of the year material. Whereas like and Horizon too. Horizon was just like more of the same, as good as it was, and as technically stunning as it was. Like it's just okay. It's just more Horizon. It was great when it came, but like Elden Ring was so like genuinely different from like other stuff in the Souls series that like
Okay, yeah.
I really can't see more like less people voting for it just based on like how well developed it was, how like approachable it was for like a Souls game, like how different it was, the kind of like the market it made when it came out. Like I don't know. I know it really is like comes down to a certain degree of subjectivity, but to me like that's the obvious choice.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really will come down to those two. I think that's the two titans in the ring. On one hand, you got Elden Ring, which is multi-platform. It's been the one to beat all year long. Basically, it's been like once it came out, once like game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So now they've had to kind of defend it against God of War, which has the recency bias, but also isn't multi-platform. Like it's the big thing right now, so that could get a lot of votes for it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also a smaller technical audience. I don't think the other one should be written off entirely. Like I could see an upset being possible, but very unlikely. Like last year, It Takes Two won Game of the Year.
Yeah, you know what,
like
that is
anything can kind
true.
of happen. But that being said, I mean, Stray for me is actually like what I kind of want to vote for because it's more than just to lol cat lulls. Like it was a really solid game, but it was a short one, and it
I'm
did
sorry,
kind
I
of
was
fizzle out.
I was being a jerk. I'm sorry.
Reductive, we'll say reductive. But yeah, like a lot of the other ones, though, like I think Xenoblade should just be happy to be nominated because that's a very niche
Yeah.
thing, and I'm surprised it broke this high.
And I know a lot of people
and-
said that like Xenoblade 3 like wasn't really that good. Like cuz I know like personally I did not like 2 at all. Like narratively, structurally, the way that like everything, the way that like it was designed, like and every enemy is just so like close together. You can't get into a fight without drawing some like level 70 behemoth and then just getting instantly killed. And like yeah, the story sucked, dialogue sucked, everything about it sucked. Like as a follow-up to the first one, and even Xenoblade Chronicles X, which was like really good and really like cool for being so different, like 2 and 3 just like I don't know, I don't think they had the same shine as like Xenoblade and X. Because
yeah,
like, I don't
I've heard really good things about it, so it's kind of like some communities versus other ones, but
yeah, Because
Yeah,
I was just
can't
about to
say
say,
myself. I haven't played much of the other two yet. So
because I was just about to say that like and that's another one too where like it kind of came out and I didn't hear like anyone talk about it. Like there was a couple of reviews. I know Dunkey did like a jokey review about it, and then like that was it. Just like it just like fizzled out completely.
well, yeah. That's hard to say, but that's like a total indicator too, right? Because like the people that I knew were playing it, like
Mhm.
they went to grounds to play the game and like came up like 3
Yeah.
weeks later, but like unshaven, uncapped, and like just like what happened? Where was I? Like I knew people who got lost in that game entirely. So it's hard to say, right? But again, against these two, I don't see it standing a chance.
Yeah, no. Maybe in like a best RPG section, maybe, but then again too, like
Well, we'll get to
Elden
that
Ring's
one.
in that category as well.
We'll
so.
get to that one. I got thoughts on that one.
Okay.
But
As much as I would like to say that like the other games stand a chance, I don't think they do. So for me, it comes down to like what makes the game of the year for you. Is it that it's a new style game? Is it the story? Is it the graphics? Is it like what does it for you? All right.
anyone, I don't want.
I mean, I was leaving the floor open to other
So was
people
I, yeah.
at the same time. I was trying to get chocolate for my girlfriend. I think
nice.
like I said, I think it's like a whole like mix of things. Like it has to be like it's based on like how well like it was designed, its narrative, its style, like its playability, like and just like the like.
Mhm.
The way it sort of like came, right? Like the impact it had when it released, right? Because that's like I was saying, like there's been a lot of games like that I've noticed in not just like this year, but like the years prior that had like so much hype behind them, and then it was just like it released and then it was gone. Like I was thinking just the other day, a little unrelated, but I was thinking about No More Heroes 3, about how like there was so much buildup and so much excitement to that game coming out, and then like I genuinely didn't even realize when it came out, and this was back when I was still on Twitter. Like nobody talked about it.
Way
it
back in
kinda
the
like-
day. That's such
Yeah.
a weird reference, Jordan. Way back when I was still on Twitter.
Back
You
when
were
I was
still
still
relevant.
on Twitter, when it was not as much of a garbage fire as it is today.
I was gonna say that frame of reference has
It's
shifted
definitely a garbage
drastically in the
fire.
last few weeks.
Yeah, like you know what I mean. So it's just like it's stuff like that. Like people could have been like, oh, like you know, there's a lot of buildup to some of these games, and then they just completely disappear. But like to this day, you know, I still see people like you know certain sites posting articles about Elden Ring and still talking about the lore and still talking about like like
Mhm.
rumored DLC is coming and this and that. Like people are still trying to figure stuff out about it. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
but like when you say it like that, like it's a crazy thing. Talk about how many other games. Pick an Elder Scrolls game and how long we're still. How many times has Skyrim come out?
Yeah,
When
but that's
did Skyrim
different.
come out? Like, no, it's not.
That's-
Why is it different?
Because that's not people actually
Except
like
Elden Ring
wanting.
hasn't been out for a year yet.
It's because that's not people particularly wanting like to keep talking about Skyrim. It's that Bethesda's so effing greedy that they'll just keep releasing the same game instead of making new ones. because
Completely
they know-
incorrect.
And Todd Howard flat out said he would stop releasing Skyrim if people stopped buying it, but people don't.
Wow.
So your argument was it's not that people want it, but people keep buying it.
Yeah, because you know.
That's a shit argument.
They don't want it.
They don't want it. They just keep doing it.
I don't
No,
want to
people-
spend
people
$70
definitely
on the
want
same
it.
game I
People
bought
definitely
5
play
times
it.
at $70.
And they
Right.
mod it and they do a whole bunch of stuff to it, and that game's still going after how long? So to see people talking about Elden Ring in the year it came out makes sense. That's not
But it's got a new hat.
outrageous for a game of that size. Wow, Jordan's loud today. For a game of that size, yeah. See, optimal. Now suck it. He was actually specifically who I was talking about. Yeah,
I
like
have bought Skyrim
people love that game.
all at
Thrice
one
is what he
time.
said.
And
Yeah.
I got a review code for the Switch version, and even that version, like I played it for like an hour, and I was like, "Wow, I forgot how much this game sucks."
Wow.
Why'd you get a
Wow.
code?
We're way off
Because
on
at
this
the
one,
time
man.
I was like
We're
excited
in the
about it, and I
weeds.
think there was no one else for it.
So
Anyways,
Jordan's
I
in
will-
one of those
back.
moods today where none of us want to talk to him, is what I'm getting.
No, okay, no, I will say
Games
the
are
Switch version,
shit. Thanks,
the
Jordan.
Switch version definitely was the best way to play Skyrim, but like it does get really boring
Really?
really fast.
I'd
Yeah.
say PC for the
That's a
mods,
way
but
to-
anyways.
Well, no, because you know why?
Yeah.
Because yeah, if
Even
you're into the mod
Xbox for
scene,
mods and stuff now.
But, like,
It's Xbox, though.
like and I even we're getting way off topic. It was just because the way that
Yeah.
that Skyrim is designed as very like basically as it is, like there's no like real depth to it. It's very repetitive. Like it's really
I mean,
easy
I-
to pick
I-
it up
I
on the
know lots of
Switch.
People that would argue that, Jordan.
Every quest is go to the same cavern and kill the same damn bandits. No, there's no diversity to it, but it's great on the Switch because you can have it in handheld and put on Netflix and turn your brain off and just not have to focus on Skyrim.
So then to bring us wildly back onto course then, Brendan, what's your kind of take on the criteria for game of the year?
I played a bit of Plague Tale. I've played a bit of God of War, but I think for Horizon Forbidden West, if it had come out later in the year, would be doing much better. But because it was released earlier this year, it just didn't stay in the zeitgeist like Elden Ring did for whatever reason. They were released very similar times, but it just didn't click with people.
Yeah.
But I think it is going to be a battle between Elden Ring and God of War. God of War might have the advantage because like it's super close to when that game came out. It's in what people's minds right now, so it might kind of edge away from Elden Ring. But then again, Elden Ring still gets the hits. It's some of our biggest articles are still how to kill that dragon at the beginning of the game. So people do still really love Elden Ring, and hell, Elon Musk was talking about Elden Ring yesterday. So there you. I don't
throw it in the fire.
Can we ever use that as a hey, it must be important ever again?
Yeah.
Like that will not in my life be a measurement of significance ever again.
No, remember there was the whole
Never
thing was that
was.
he was talking about Elden Ring like he was trying to be cool and relevant, and everyone was like pointing out how like shitty and basic his character build was, and how like he actually sucked at the game.
Which made no sense.
It's really
It made
basic
no
and
sense. It was
broken
just
or
like
something. Yeah.
he had like spells, but no like stats into spell casting. It was like, you do that.
That
I
tracks.
guess.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
guess
I
everyone
mean,
plays
for
the
me, it's
game
like
whatever.
He enjoys it, cool.
for me, it's like it's a combination of factors, right? Like it's got to be like I want something that's innovative but still like accessible and have a great presentation and all that stuff. So if you were to take everything else out of the competition but Elden Ring and Ragnarok, I think I'd go with Ragnarok because it doesn't hate players. Like Elden Ring has
it's
a
more
niche and
accessible. It's more all around game.
like literally
right?
accessible, and it's accessible. Like it's on both.
Yeah,
like,
it's
terms of
you
it,
can
like,
play it and everyone can play it. That's
yeah, it's got that factor going for it.
that's true. Yeah.
Sony's push for that has definitely paid off. Elden Ring has a niche; people love it. The people who love it are like a niche, and like for me as someone who played it because everyone else was playing it and want to see what they're all talking about, I didn't enjoy it.
I would argue that. I think Elden Ring is more than a niche. It was a cultural like milestone for a lot of people. It did really like impact a lot of people. It was kind of like a Skyrim. It did. It was one of the biggest sellers of that From Software has ever had. Yes, it's hard, but people really did kind of take to it. And the fact that people are still playing it now and people are still buying it now means that it isn't just a niche game. It's a game that did break into the mainstream. It's still a hard game that broke into the mainstream.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you should say
that
like it
100%.
came from a niche of the From Software thing, and it really definitely expanded that niche. It's definitely made the Souls like thing a much more accessible, or much more prominent. I should say, not accessible, because it's definitely not accessible. To be fair, again, it does also more accessible than other Souls games. I'll give it that, because I tried Dark Souls 3 before and instantly just was done with it because it disrespects your time so much.
I was gonna say as much as it like counts for anything to say it's like the most accessible and like the most playable of like the Soulsborne games, like it was also probably made better by the fact that like how well and how seamlessly they integrated multiplayer into it, because that was another thing about the Souls games was that like they always had multiplayer, but to do it was a bit of a process. like this one was just like, and it was also required like consumable items. Like this one was just like, you could just call up some friends, they'll jump in the game with you, and then you could just like tackle any quest, and it's just like it's almost instantaneous. So like in that regard, they did try, I think, a little bit harder than the other ones to make it like so that it wasn't so like grueling, but it is still a very hard game. And then there's there's a debate to be had maybe about like its difficulty versus like how much players are willing to sort of like try and actually like get like push through it. But like that's a very fine line to walk, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely it's definitely not something that's for everybody. And I mean, God of War for different reasons might not be everybody's cup of tea either, thematically and stuff like that. But I don't know. I think I would go for that, but I voted for Stray.
Well,
personally.
And to your point there, Chris, too, I was gonna say that like if I think part of the reason too that God of War maybe like takes the win too is that it's like not just like solid gameplay, but it really is. It's like its narrative component is what really like sells it and makes it stand out, especially compared to previous like God of War games, right? Like that's the thing that people really like look at it and go like this game is like ahead of everyone else just because of like how well developed the characters are, how good the voice acting is, like how dramatic it is, how emotional it is. Like I was watching a clip on TikTok the other last night, and I was like actually like tearing up. I was like, holy shit, is God of War gonna make me cry a second time? Like what world are we living in?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I still
know
can't believe
David playing it. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say like I still can't believe that the last game 5 years ago was hailed as like this great emotional thing, because the games before were all smash, boobs, like quick time event. Now it's like, oh, it's actually a nuanced thing.
What did you just say? Smash. What?
Yes,
What?
You heard me. Boobs.
Oh yeah.
Boobs.
No, there was boobs.
Oh, it was okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were trying to say booms, and I was.
Wasn't one of them like
I did
actually
not
like an
play that
interactive
game.
cutscene where you
like
you get help by sex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does the cheeky thing where like it like cuts away to like a
I lose
pause.
health,
It's just like shaking and
yeah.
Anyway,
So then,
I will point
that's
out
the
that we have
story
spent more than a quarter of our time on this one game, and there are 25
thing.
games. So
it is
okay, let's go.
Yeah,
we'll move on.
I'm just giving you the heads up. That's where we're at.
This was always going to be the big segment. But so yeah, I think we kind of covered game direction there into, because most of the games are the same. Just swap Xenoblade for Immortality and take Plague Tale off the list. Narrative too, again, a lot of the same. There's a lot of repeat candidates here.
I don't even know Immortality.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not even sure
I have no idea which game that is.
Immortality.
I don't know. I guess I'm
kind
gonna
of snuck
figure
up.
that
I think
out.
it came out like a couple months ago.
Yeah, I didn't know that one.
We are woefully unprepared.
But yeah, these first few awards, so Game of the Year, Game Direction, Narrative, like Game Direction and Game Narrative make Game of the Year. Don't you think? Like I feel like those are these two plus this equals this. So cool.
And then action adventure too is like Plague Tale, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon, Stray, and then Tunic. So it's like a lot of copy paste going on at the start. I'd like to see Tunic win in a way, but mostly because it has so few nominations. But sorry,
I'd like to see Brendan's just quiet in general. I'd like to see something else win. Like I feel like God of War and Elden Ring are going to take a lot. So I feel like where it is due, please let these other people win something, because they do deserve it. It's not, it's. I feel comparing Tunic to Elden Ring might not be quite fair.
That is definitely not fair. That is not a equal comparison. One is a game that costs millions of dollars to make. One is probably not.
Probably not. It's Elden Ring, right?
That one all year long, right? Like all year long, I've been thinking like, well, this isn't going to stand a chance against Elden Ring. Like for half the games that have come out, like no one's going to care compared to Elden Ring when it comes time for this voting. So
and I mean, I think to that point, as that Brendan was saying, like as a counter argument, I don't think like dollars spent and like size of team equates all the time to a good game. You know what I mean? Like
oh, Jordan, I don't either. It's just,
Yeah,
it isn't
like-
really a fair
Those
comparison.
two comparisons are.
Well,
Yeah.
In this
It's
particular
more of
case,
just-
yeah.
I
It
think
will not have the market share. It will not have
Yeah.
the mind share. Like a game that a few people played and thought was cute is not going to compete against a multi-million-dollar trans-global franchise. It's just probably not, because wouldn't have the people aren't going to consider it the same plate. Doesn't saying that's fair. I mean, this
yeah.
in the movie space, it's also the same way. It's hard to think of a small indie movie competing against a Marvel movie. Probably the Marvel movie is going to do better at the box office. Just what's going to happen.
Yeah, okay. You're not wrong.
That being said, this
Don't
is
you
one
hate
candid
that?
category where I think Tunic's community could rally and push it to win
Yeah.
this
From
category.
Best yeah. Maybe.
Because again, the people
Does
that I know
anybody in the
that played
comments have an
Tunic-
opinion for best action adventure? Why don't we get all
Get in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like the people that I've heard,
it's like
his
6
playthrough
people and they're all my
have-
family.
The people that I know that or have heard of on like other podcasts and stuff that have played Tunic have adored it. So like I think
Yeah.
again the passion could come through.
And especially like I love what it did too with like the actual like in-game like manual book too. That's kind of where like again where I guess what I was kind of saying like earlier a little bit like where a lot of these games like they had huge budgets and they had like marketability and and people saw like we're gonna see it and get it a lot easier than they were gonna get something like Tunic, but like like Horizon, again, like Horizon looks really good. It's impressive in scope, but from what I remember of people like of like critics talking about it, they're just saying like it's a lot more of the same, right? Even like God of War Ragnarok, one of the main criticisms I heard from a lot of people was that just like it like even like the combat from a gameplay perspective, it just feels too much like the 2018 one, and it didn't really innovate that much. Not necessarily that it needed to reinvent the wheel, but it's like that's one of its like that's probably the weakest thing about it, or like the meanest thing you can say about it as a criticism is that it doesn't advance all the good it did in the first one, right? But like something like Tunic that was actually trying to be a little bit different, that was like inspired, very clearly inspired by Zelda, but like paying homage, but also kind of being its own little thing, and it had its own unique art style, and it stands out in its own way. Like it does deserve that kind of acclaim. It should and winning an award like for best action adventure is it's worth it to give it to some of these indie games that are actually like trying a little bit harder to like make their mark than a lot of these AAA games that are just playing it safe because they have the ability to do that and they know what sells.
Yeah, to kind of tie it back to what Brandon was saying a minute ago about the budgets, like I think there's a certain dollar to impact ratio. Like Tunic was built with a smaller team, smaller budget, probably had a bigger impact dollar to results.
Yeah.
But it doesn't translate to visibility or the buzz that something they got of War Ragnarok gets.
One of the things I'm wondering too now is like because when Tunic first came out, it was kind of like an Xbox exclusive, but then they brought it to the Switch. So how much could that have affected how many people actually saw it and got their hands on it and played it and was able to like actually like fall in love with it?
If it had landed on Switch first, I think it would have had a bigger impact.
It would have been.
Sure.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Anyways, we should keep moving here. So this category, best role playing. Elden Ring, Live Alive, Pokemon Legends Arceus, Triangle Strategy, Xenoblade Chronicles 3. One of these things is not like the other.
You mean good?
Oh, hey now. Hey now.
Sorry, I'll stop.
How much you want to bet Jordan's girlfriend's watching him, and that's why he's so boisterous right now?
That's
so
purely in jest. Purely in jest.
Protectionist. You said the magic word. Yeah, so Elden Ring. I don't think this totally belongs here. So RPG elements bleed into a lot of other games.
All of them.
It's become a natural thing. And Elden Ring has RPG elements. I would not call it an RPG though solely. Has a strong RPG element.
Well,
but the gameplay itself is like hardly even like an action RPG, I would say.
I would argue with you on that very intensely because every other entry in this category
Mhm.
is very pointedly a JRPG, whereas Elden Ring is probably the truest form of RPG that's actually on the list because it, like, by the definition of the name,
Is a
you
JRPG not
are
still an RPG?
no,
It's still
because
an RPG.
JRPGs typically like have fixed stories and fixed characters, and they have like the elements of RPGs where you're like, you turn-based battles and you get experience and you level up, but you're not actually
I
playing
don't
a
know. Like,
role. Like when you consider like the term like role-playing game, like back to its truest roots, like D&D and stuff, like Elden Ring like has classes, but it also gives you the class where you can build your character the way you want to build it and like actually play the role you want to play. So
Yeah,
it's
but there's
probably the truest form of RPG
I
compared to the other
I
four.
hardly agree with that one, but
I mean, I wouldn't even call Arceus an RPG. It's just a animal catching game.
I mean, like of this list, I think Live Alive and Xenoblade are like the truest, purest like RPG effects on here. Like Live Alive, you're literally playing different roles. The whole thing is you're in this role, and then you're in this role, and then you're in this role in different time periods. That's the whole premise of that
those
game.
are playing roles.
Yeah,
Exactly,
but you're not
yes, but
choosing the role.
the-
You know what I mean?
the whole the whole element of the RPGs like gameplay, like whether it's turn-based or action-based, Elden Ring doesn't really have that. It's much more an action game. Most RPGs technically do not have that ultra precise timing that you need to have for Elden Ring and other Souls-like games. Typically, people played turn-based games because they didn't want to play those like action-based games all the time. Like there was usually like a diversion. Like you went to the arcade and you played, shoot 'em ups, and you came home and you played Dragon Quest or whatever, right? Like it was there's two different tone shifts there, and Elden Ring is so much more in the action thing, in the action realm with an RPG engine behind part of it. It just doesn't belong in here, and it's going to blow the whole thing, the whole competition, I think.
See, I don't know if I agree with that because again, yeah, like Elden Ring leads hard into like the sort of you know the like the instant action as opposed to like other the other entries which are either turn based or like real time turn based. But like every like level that you gain in Elden Ring, every skill point that you put in a certain place, the way you build your character is going to affect how you approach every fight. So it's not just pure action where you can go in there and just mash away and eventually you'll win. Like if you build a character that has really terrible like magic defense and then you go into the magic area and you start fighting bosses who are using magic, you're going to get killed like instantly because you're not like the way you built your character doesn't suit that. So you have to find a way around that, which is still that same level of strategy and like character development that you're going to put into any other RPG.
Yeah, I just don't. Still doesn't sit right with me. But
it's because you're the one person who doesn't like Elden Ring.
but I'm not the only one.
Dana loved it.
But,
she just doesn't play games.
Oh yeah, it was so great. Brendan, did you watch me play it? I walked into a giant horseman and went nope and walked away.
Yeah, that's what
no,
we
I
all
would
did.
say like for me, when I consider an RPG would be like the games that I play, like Skyrim, like Fable. To me, that's what an RPG would be. Now, mind you, a lot of these other games, they're just not my style of game.
Yeah.
We all know we're not going to catch me playing Triangle Strategy Pokemon. Is it Live Alive? Live Alive? I hate it all.
Yeah.
Like those aren't games that I'm going to play. I don't think it's up for debate what they are. The industry has spoken. I think Elden Ring will probably win. But I don't necessarily think that it's the only RPG there.
What was like
RPG is rough territory.
I think it was like 2015 where we had this exact where it was Brendan Quinn and what's her name? They had this huge fight because again like the nominations for RPG was like Bloodborne and like Witcher 3 and she was saying that Witcher 3 was the better RPG and Brendan just like lost his mind about it.
Again, yeah, I haven't played Bloodborne, but Souls games are not RPGs to me in the slightest. There's all the RPG stuff in there, but it's much more about the action than it is like that kind of combat for me. But
I think it is.
I agree. It's probably going to run away with it. Sorry, Brendan.
It does. You are building that character, and that is important.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that
That's
aspect
like,
is there, but
like,
it's what you do with the character afterwards, right?
In comparison to say, like, again, like to go just to like to circle back to that, like in comparison to a game like The Witcher 3, right? Like The Witcher 3 is probably far more action oriented because you don't like there's no real way to build the character of Geralt that like where like it just being really good at the combat, knowing how to time blocks and just like mashing away with the sword is gonna like get you through most encounters, right? But like compare that to something like Bloodborne, where like it actually really does matter how you build your character and where you put your stats, like to approach every single combat encounter. Like that to me is far
This
more
is
like
the
RPG
never-ending
designed.
debate with
I was
us.
going to
Though.
say we're not.
This is the never-ending debate, and it
Okay.
and like we've got Optimal. He said, "Is Assassin's Creed an RPG?" Because he'd put Elden Ring in the same category. There's a skill tree in Jedi Fallen Order. Is that an RPG? World of Warcraft. I've designed my character. Is that an RPG? No, not really.
I mean,
so it's messy.
To its credit,
it's messy.
To its credit, Optimal. To its credit, Fallen Order took a lot from Dark Souls. Okay,
it's an action Souls like
it borrowed a lot from. So yeah, it's probably more in line with.
But
RPG.
when you think about it, the entire purpose of video games now, anyway, like they started off as Pong, but now the entire point of video games is to play a role that is not yourself. So it is a role-playing game, no matter what you do, and there is never going to be an answer to this debate.
I don't know.
It's just, it is what it is, and it makes things like this kind of messy. But I'm pretty sure Elden Ring's going to win anyway, and we're at half our time. So
we'll keep moving, and we'll see that for another time or editorial.
We'll have one entire one.
Best fighting. Best fighting skill, we got DNF Duel, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, The King of Fighters 15, Multiversus, and Sifu.
I think Sifu's a weird thing to be on this list because it's not really a.
Does it not fit the category?
Yeah, kind of. Okay, but this is like it really
Isn't that
doesn't
frustrating?
fit the category. It's because
I've actually seen other people saying this too.
You know what I mean? It's like when you
I've seen people saying what you're saying.
Fighting, it's like you're thinking. Yeah, I know you were. Yeah, exactly. Like
Brendan, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, Sifu is very much an action game. It is kind of like a Souls-like.
So the fighting is like it's most
really hard. Yeah, the fighting. Yeah, like it wouldn't describe it as a fighting game. Like a fighting game would be like Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, exactly.
Like one versus one. Yeah.
When you think fighting,
but that's more. Wouldn't that be more of an arcade fighting game?
No,
well,
it's
it's not like it's like you're in an arena just to fight. Like there's a whole other action element to Sifu that's not just the combat.
Yeah, like I'm watching a little bit of the gameplay right now just because obviously this is not my jam.
Yeah,
but I mean the way that it works. Nope, I'm gonna finish talking.
Okay, sorry.
The way that it works, like there's a score when you're hitting, there's multipliers, there's things like that, and I think that is what they're taking into it being a fighting game. It's not just go in, punch this guy until he dies, but there's combos, there's like that kind of thing, and I think that might be why it's bridging over into the fighting game category.
But
now you may speak.
But I mean, by that logic, like we've never seen like Devil May Cry go into a fighting category, or like even like this year Bayonetta 3 doesn't land in fighting game, even though it's sort of the same concept. There's punching and kicking.
But you know what? Only 5 games did, so maybe that many people didn't vote for it. It's not because it doesn't fit, it's because hundreds of outlets voted and that one didn't win.
Well, surprised to speak through there, but yeah.
I guess like in terms of like a technicality, sure, but I think like Brendan was kind of saying too, like when you think fighting game, you think like tournament fighter, like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, King of Fighters, like all those games that like where the actual design of the game was like 1v1 or 2v2, whatever, like fighting, the way it's done like it has been all this time. And Sifu is like the fighting is its core mechanic, sure, but it's definitely more of an action game with like linear design.
I totally agree when you think fighting game, that you think those games, just to be clear. I'm just trying to justify why maybe it made the way on there, but that's just as vague as role-playing game then. Have you I don't know that I've played a video game that I haven't been fighting things. So
why
you
do you
know,
think,
it's
I think the one to beat in this room is Multiverses though. Like that's kind of
you think
the standout popularity.
it's the one I've heard the most about.
I think I would take
That's the one I've
King
heard
of
the most
Fighters
about.
15 myself, but that's maybe the one
I
to
can't
beat.
believe that the Smash Killer Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl didn't make the list.
Who?
Lego Brawl's actually a pretty cool game. Lego Brawl's
you know
actually
what?
pretty cool. I played that at
I
Summer
actually
Game
heard-
Fest. It's fun. I like
Yeah.
you design
Oh,
your
this came
character
out-
though, so I
okay.
don't know. Maybe it's a role playing game.
Like yeah,
Nobody- I
no,
thought it was
I've actually
funny.
heard good things. Well, there was that other,
hilarious.
wasn't there was that other like game, wasn't it like Slam Down or Slam City or whatever it was called, where you like wrestle. It's like
yeah.
it's like a that kind of
wrestle them.
game. Like that
Brawl
didn't make
Down
the
or
list. I'm
something.
sure. I'm sure there had to be like some indie game out there, like fighting game that someone made that was actually pretty good. Like I don't know. It's a weird choice, but yeah,
How
I think
People made DFN Duel. Like holy crap! I'm just looking at like all the different groups that made that one game.
9 billion.
It's mostly an Arc System Works thing.
It was
I'm not
actually
sure why there's
3/4 of the world.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But
Gotta
sure,
give credit where
18
credit's due, I guess.
billion.
I think that's gonna be Multiverses.
You know what, I would
Only
say
just because that's the game I've heard about the most.
Yeah.
I would love to see King of Fighters take it, because like King of Fighters it's like it's a legacy fighter, and like it's been so long since we had like a real like modern version of it on accessible consoles. Like this is the first time I can even like remember seeing a King of Fighters like coming out like on a modern console.
At least for the last few years since 14 came out, yeah.
Yeah, like so that would be the one to me, because like again, it's kind of the thing with Multiverses where like, you know, like I was saying earlier, like it came, people were excited about it, but then it kind of feels like it fizzled out the same way that like jokingly we were, you know, we were taking the piss a little bit, but it was kind of the same thing too with like the Nickelodeon thing, where like there was a lot of big talk from people on social media about how this is going to be the Smash Bros killer. It's got this really good net code that the people who did that modded version of Melee use, and they're going to respect the online community, and they're going to respect tournaments and all that shit like that. And then nobody was talking about it a week after it came out, because it wasn't as good as Smash Bros is. And
well, and
even
I think
I'm gonna jump into any of those games and mash all the buttons, and that's as good as it's gonna get. Just leave it alone.
I think the biggest thing that
If I
broke
can
it
mash
immediately was that it didn't have voice acting. Like you had all these iconic characters with iconic voices, and they didn't have that ready for launch. Shot themselves in the foot on that one big time. But we'll keep chugging along here.
Yeah.
The next one is Best Family. This could be an interesting one. We got Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope, Nintendo Switch Sports, and Splatoon 3. My vote is Kirby, but that's because I played it in a family sense. Actually, like I played it all the way through with my daughter, like in co-op mode, and I think that's a really good experience for families. But
no, I could
love me a good
Kirby
Lego game.
Taking it.
Kirby's gonna be strong. I think Star Wars will be this tough.
My son is actually playing Mario.
Oh, Rabbit, really?
Yeah,
My son's playing Mario right now on his own. Apparently, he surprised me. I threw it on his Switch and I assumed he wouldn't do anything. And he's like, "I play Mario." I'm like, "Oh, sorry, sir." But for me, yeah, it would be Lego Star Wars. I love me a good Lego game. I don't even need my family for it. I don't really need my kids. I just need like another adult that I can yell at when we try to split the screen. Although I like
yeah,
but I just need to fight with someone for a while.
Because like Splatoon 3 was like fine, but it's definitely not like a family game in the sense that like I guess depending on like what the parameters of family games are, like Chris was saying, like you couldn't sit down with your like kid and really play Splatoon. Like even even though
couldn't play it together literally unless you have two.
Yeah, you literally cannot play it together. Like even though like the quote unquote local multiplayer, everyone needs to have their own Switch and a copy of the game. So
I mean, that doesn't necessarily stop it from being a family game, though. I mean, if you want to talk about how many Switches are in my house currently, I mean, yes, that's because we're fortunate and I'm spoiled rotten. But there's lots of people that do that, even if they don't have. Now, I don't know about Splatoon. Can you play Splatoon on the Switch Lite?
I
don't know how it works.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
I didn't know.
I wouldn't want to play only in handheld mode, but you can, I believe.
But a lot of people might get their kids the Switch light, right? So
Mhm.
there's options, and that doesn't negate it from being a family game. It may limit things, but
Adds a
you can
big
also
barrier, for
consider a
sure.
family game a game
Yeah.
kids can play. It's not necessarily that mom has to play with baby or mom and dad have to play together. It's that it is safe for the family. It is something
Okay,
they can do together or alone.
because my interpretation of like best family game was like the kind of game that like a bunch of people could sit down together and play together,
Mhm.
and it's like there's not a lot of barriers to entry, like yeah, like you can load up Kirby and have like two people, or is it exclusively two? I
Two
didn't play the
players. Yeah.
multiplayer at all. Yeah, you know, and or like Lego Star Wars, where you can sit down like with in the same room
Mhm.
together with one console and a couple controllers and play the game, and it's not like yeah, like maybe you are this bourgeoisie living in the clouds while the peasants only get to have one Switch. um but the face Data made. But that's what I mean. Like it's like there are barriers to entry that way with certain games like that, where it's like if you can't have 4 Switches and 4 copies of the game, because that's gonna really add up.
Yeah, that's
Then,
that
like,
4 copies of the game becomes the problem for me. The
That's
You know what I
74
mean?
Switches I'm good with. I don't want to buy the game more than once though. But
that's what I'm saying.
like
right? So, like,
I'm the boss on my son's Switch, so he plays my games. So whatever. So
like,
that seems to work so far.
I kind of agree with you, Dana. I think Lego Star Wars is probably the best choice, because like it is
Mhm.
super fun. It's really easy to jump into. Like the scope of it is humongous. It's like every single star. So it's not just that you're getting a fun like Lego game that kids and even adults are gonna like have a good time playing. It's literally every single Star Wars movie in a game.
Yeah, in some ways that might be
Now,
a barrier
Chris, my
too,
question
in
for
that-
you,
Yeah.
because you have Wii Humans and you played Kirby. Obviously, your daughter liked it, but she's a little
Mm.
bit younger. Do you think if she was like 12 or 13, she'd want to sit down and play that with you?
Depends on the kid, I think.
Or would it be lame?
With
Yeah.
what I think she'll be like as a 12-year-old, I think she'd still be into it, because it's Kirby's cutesy, but it's not like
Yeah.
super saccharine cutesy. Like it's accessible.
Right.
Yeah.
I
like
find
my-
it's in a
Tries to
niche
be
where like
dark
it's
at
totally
times.
fine for adults to like it and totally fine for little kids to like it, but I feel like that middle ground people are like, that's lame. And I'm like, screw
teenage
you, I want a
teenage
Kirby.
hormones might make people too proud to play it if they're like 13. Now that's
Yeah.
lame. It's for
Let's go.
babies. But no, there's a certain universality to this game in particular. I think, especially with the way they handle certain environments and themes and stuff like that. That I think it would be accessible to a broader age. But yeah, it really hit a sweet spot in my household. But yeah, same thing with like
That's
Lego
awesome.
Star Wars, right? Like my kids are familiar with Star Wars because I'm a big Star Wars fan. I don't think it would gain as much traction with them, but I'd be happy if either one of these won, because family games to me as a genre always seems like a weird dump it in that category thing. Like, oh, it's cutesy and kids might enjoy it.
If
Call it a
kids can
family
look
game.
at it, then it's fine.
Yeah, it's like oh, God of War. Oh, we can't put that in that category. Let's put this in there. Like it's everything that's not bloody goes into the family games. So I'd like to see it go to a game that has that kind of family co-op element. Like I wish Nintendo Switch Sports had, but it's just fine as it is. It's just it's there. It's fine.
I'm just Nintendo Switch Sports just takes me back to like the Wii, and that was really cool for like a minute. But then I was like, okay, I'm done now.
It's the kind of thing I have for a rainy day. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's still there. All right.
You just wait.
You
wait till they add golf. Then it's going to be a game changer. Literally.
Yeah, we're still waiting on that one.
Still waiting for golf.
Yeah, actually, that very good call. Anyway, 15
let's
minutes,
keep
folks.
chugging. Let's keep chugging.
You're welcome.
I think we can kind of glaze over the next couple. Best Sim Strategy, Dune Spice Wars, Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope, Total War, Warhammer 3, 2 Point Campus, and Victoria 3.
I mean, I think 2 Point Campus or Total War would be my things. I don't think Wario Rabbids is. I guess it's
Mario,
strategy.
dear God.
So, yeah.
I would love a Wario Rabbids game.
And then Dune Spice War. That's still in. Is that fully out now? Or is it still early access?
I think it has to be fully out to be nominated.
I gotta figure that out now.
Doesn't matter. We don't have time to Google right now. Yeah, I liked 2 Point Campus. I played. It was a lot of fun. It was something that, like, had I not been reviewing it and not been reviewing 400 things after, I probably would have kept
It's an early
playing.
access game.
Why is that allowed then? Huh,
Well, it's out
interesting.
fully now, though. It's there's
Yeah, I
like
guess.
there's a physical release and everything. Like it came out.
But it's still listed as an early access game.
Really?
Well,
Weird.
that's
Yeah, on
okay.
Steam.
Anyway,
Yeah. We'll
cool.
come back.
Sports game.
Well, we can just go back. Sports racing: F1 22, FIFA 23, NBA 2K 23, Gran Turismo 7, and Ollie Ollie Worlds.
Oh.
I'm like really impressed that there's a like people are putting Ollie Ollie World in the same category
Yeah.
as these like
I'm-
ultra realistic games. That's exciting for me. That makes me happy.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of why. That's
Tough
kind of the one I
category,
want to
but-
see.
I think it's
It's
great.
definitely the one I want to see win because yeah, like it is super
Mhm.
cool and unique, and even the first two Ollie Ollies were like really like fun, really well designed,
Mhm.
like arcade style skateboarding games. And like whereas like all these other games, it's like NBA, FIFA, it's just like okay, it's the next one. Who gives a shit? Gran Turismo,
Right.
I think like maybe in terms of like technical like scope because that was
Mhm.
exclusively for PS5 if I'm not mistaken. I don't follow
Yeah,
any
sure.
sports games, so forgive me for not knowing. But like that's maybe like showing off like the capability of the PS5 and like that, and it was kind of the Gran Turismo's thing all the time was to be like, look at our graphics, mortal.
Well,
And
it
it's
is-
beautiful. It's a
fantastic
beautiful,
graphics.
beautiful
Yeah,
game.
no, it's an
But there's a lot of people-
amazing looking game.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of people that are upset that they keep grouping these two things together.
Mhm.
The interwebs is angry because they keep saying sports and racing are the same, and they're not. Like, how do you compare FIFA to Gran Turismo?
Yeah, that's fair.
I
It is
literally,
a
like-
sport.
Yeah, I guess, but they're not comparable to me in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I think
I
it's
mean,
because
it's just-
otherwise the genre would be like if you were to split sports into one thing and racing into another, you'd have one standout title and you'd have a bunch of other ones that are like just kind of there, much like other
Mhm.
much like other categories. But I feel like the difference between like like FIFA.
I
is
mean,
always
there's
the
a
same
million
thing,
sports games. You
NBA
got
is always the
NHL,
same
you've
thing.
got Madden, you've got FIFA, you've got NBA. Like, pick a sport, you've got them, right? MLB, you've got all of those, and there's a few. Like, half of this list is racing games.
Mhm.
So, I mean, there are enough, but I
Racing
don't know.
would
Like,
racing would definitely
I said-
benefit more from being split off, but then you'd end up with like the most boring category of being sports, and like that's also one of the biggest selling categories for games. So it's like, yeah, it's a
true.
weird-
I guess we
it's a
are
weird
shitting
split,
on
it's
an
a weird divide.
entire giant gaming community that is esports.
Yeah.
God, who wants to play a sports game? Oh, the whole world. Shut
Keep
up,
that, you
Dana.
sports
Gotcha.
To be fair,
nerds.
they shit on themselves as much as everyone else does. So on the outside,
That's
so
true. That's
no
true.
one
See,
hates
when I
FIFA
think
more than a
esports,
FIFA
I
player.
still think like Fortnite. Like, I still think that kind of stuff. I don't think actual sports when I hear esports. So, anywho,
Speaking
multiplayer.
of, well, Fortnite didn't make this next list, but best multiplayer: Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Multiverses, Overwatch 2, Splatoon 3, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge.
I went with multiverses on
I
this.
multiverses, yeah.
I went for Shredder's Revenge personally, but
That's fair.
Mhm.
Multiverses I
I
think is
think
definitely
it's
going to be a
better,
strong contender though, because yeah, like we said, it was a big
I'd
sensation.
be surprised. Like,
Mhm.
technically, like Call of Duty is right there. It's like that. That's not a small game, but it doesn't even phase me. I'm just like, meh.
Exactly
Meh.
right. You know,
That's how I feel about it. Yeah,
Yeah,
didn't
'cause
even
I
look
mean,
at
like,
it. I'm like, this one seems more fun.
that was I guess that was the whole thing because like yeah like like Call of Duty I was never gonna play, so like that one was off the list for me. Multiverses again, it's like why I don't want to play it. I already have Smash Bros. Overwatch 2 I've heard nothing but like kind of middling things about it, like in comparison to the first one. Splatoon 3 I love, but there's no denying that the online, like the core component of how its multiplayer works is absolute dog shit. And I would have to go with Chris on this. Like Shredder's Revenge is like just like this absolute like brilliantly crafted, like beautiful to look at, like just and this just complete love letter to the games that would like not only did we used to play like you get a couple friends together and go to the arcade to play like Turtles in Time or whatever, like to actually sit down on the like the SNES or the Genesis and play like the home versions or like the Manhattan, was it the Manhattan Project?
Something like that, yeah.
Or or like the Hyperstone Heist. Like these were like the Ninja Turtles, like was in terms of gaming was always synonymous with like really tight multiplayer. So that's why I would love to see Shredder's Revenge take it.
I will say that like of all these games, yeah, Shredder's Revenge is the only one that's maybe one to like grab friends and play it. Like, I wish it was a little more deep, but it definitely inspired the multiplayer vibes for me. So that wins for me. Most anticipated. This might be a hot one. Final Fantasy 16, Hogwarts Legacy, Resident Evil 4, Starfield, and The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom.
I feel like all 4 of us are going to go with a different one on this.
Okay, you first.
This is my guess. Okay, so it's going to be Zelda, obviously. I don't know if that's obvious. If everything surrounding Hogwarts wasn't so questionable, it probably would have gone that way. But I can't, in good faith, be like, this is the best. I can't get behind it. But I think it's a really cool concept, and I think that the game would have been awesome if it came out many years before all these bad things happened.
Yeah.
Or if your money from the sales weren't going in a certain direction. But
yes, exactly. Like,
Brendan?
I feel like,
me, Starfield, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, I don't.
That doesn't surprise me.
Switch isn't my primary system, so I wouldn't say Zelda. Resident Evil 4, I'm less excited for that.
That would have been my guess for you.
The other ones, Hogwarts, the reasons Dana just said, and I'm not really a Final Fantasy person, so that would be my statement.
Jordan.
Okay, well this may shock you.
It's Batman, isn't it?
It's Batman.
100%.
I knew it.
It was always Batman.
It's Elden
no,
Ring.
you know,
Cyberpunk DLC, actually.
Yes,
Thank you.
Cyberpunk DLC. That's it. Biomutant 2.
It's Animal Crossing.
Paid DLC, by the way.
Yeah,
It's always
Animal
been
Crossing.
Animal Crossing.
Shit.
No,
Again.
I actually am probably the most excited for Final Fantasy. I love the look. I love this. I love the the stage.
Genuinely shocked.
You know why? Because because that's the thing is that like sure, I love Breath of the Wild as much as the next guy, but like it's most likely just gonna be more Breath of the Wild, and if they don't fix,
Breath
and
of the
I'm
Wild
worried
too.
they won't. Like if I'm kind of genuinely worried they're not gonna fix any of the problems that the first one had.
Okay.
Like the breakable weapons.
I didn't
and the
play
kind
it
of, like,
religiously
garbage.
enough for there to be. Oh. Okay.
Oh no, it's no.
I'm catching up now. I didn't know what the problems were. I wasn't here for that.
If you play it long enough, like every weapon shattering like glass after 10 hits.
Oh yeah.
Including the Master Sword, it gets tiring really fast.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm kind of worried they're not going to fix any of those problems. So it's just going to be like, oh, it's going to be more Breath of the Wild, which is like great. I'm here for that. But like in terms of a game that actually looks different, is going to feel hopefully very different. The combat looks insane. 16 has my vote. I'm dying to play that one.
Yeah, 16 is no surprise, mine also, but I'm very excited for Tears of the Kingdom, and I do think it's going to run away with the vote on this one. But we also don't know much about it, and I'm happy about that. I'm glad I know nothing about it. I would walk into that game this minute knowing what I know and nothing else, and be totally happy with it. Probably happier than I would be if I knew everything beforehand. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna play the crap out of it when it comes, but Final Fantasy 16 is my big one. It looks fantastic from what we've seen, and they keep whetting my appetite more and more. And
it's really cool to see a Final Fantasy like a newer Final Fantasy on a modern system that's actually like genuinely going back to the sort of like swords and sorcery style that started it. Like whereas like a lot of the newer Final Fantasies up to from 7 up to like 15 have been more like techno punk kind of like sci-fi fantasy, like something that's genuine swords and sorcery, like is a very like nice return to form.
Yeah, definitely, and it's got strong deal vibes to like some of the other more medieval games like Tactics and 12. So
yeah,
we'll see more on that the months to come though, because we're gonna get a big dump at the end of the year with more info. So let's jump down to best adaptation, which is a wider genre. We've got Arcane, League of Legends.
Brendan has seen more of these than anybody.
Probably, actually, yeah.
I think
Arcane,
you've
League of
only seen
Legends, Cyberpunk, Edge Runners, The Cuphead Show, I should say, exclamation mark, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and Uncharted.
I've seen none of them.
Cyberpunk, Edge Runner or Arcane would be my go.
Yeah, one of those is definitely going to win. Doesn't matter what I think. One of those is going to win.
I definitely I liked the Cuphead show a lot. I still got to watch the new season, and there's a third season on its way.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I kind of feel I think my vote lies with, and I kind of feel like this might be the come around from behind victory is gonna be Sonic 2. Because I genuinely thought it was a really fun movie. It was a lot better than the first one. And it was like really smart to sort of like not focus on the humans, like do a lot more with Sonic as a character, do a lot with Knuckles, like, introducing like Tails, and even like Jim Carrey's performance as Robotnik was like so much more like comically sinister than he was in the first one. Like he actually genuinely felt like the cartoon version of Robotnik. Like all the pieces worked together. It wasn't a perfect movie, but like as far as video game adaptations went, especially for Sonic the Hedgehog, it was like I think as close to perfect as we're gonna get, unless the third one comes out and just blows everything out of the water because they're bringing Shadow into it. So,
but it might not have Jim Carrey, so it's like, is it going to be the same?
Yeah,
again, we'll see. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 gets my vote too for a lot of the same reasons you mentioned. I do think they spent too much time dwelling on the humans for about a good 10 minutes in the middle there, where there was no animated characters on screen. Other than that, though, like amazing adaptation. I'm so pleased with how the climax ended up and all that stuff. That being said, I think
people are just going to be excited about something good coming out of Cyberpunk the first time around.
Yeah. Like I was gonna say that this comes down to like Elden Ring versus God of War recency bias thing again, right? Arcane came out almost a year ago, and it was like the biggest thing. It would have won if you'd taken the poll right then. Now we've got Cyberpunk, which is close to people's memories and stuff like that. It's got that recency bias, so it's gonna be between those two. But I think Sonic has a stronger chance than anything in the Game of the Year category has to beating Elden Ring or God of War Ragnarok. But I don't see too many votes going to Uncharted.
No.
I was shocked that was on there. I didn't hear anybody say anything good about Uncharted when it came out.
It came out.
Maybe Tom Holland's just going to be at the Game Awards, so they're like, oh crap, we've got to put this in there. Maybe that's what happened. It's Tom Holland, right? Did I screw that up?
No,
I feel like they did that just to make sure he's there.
It's Tom Holland. He just comes across the stage all mopey like Michael Cera in Arrested Development and just melts past. And okay.
Guys, what's going on?
But yeah, anyway. I think we'll hop over to an audience question to round off here. Green Owl asked, which game would shock y'all if it won the Game of the Year award?
Ooh,
that's a good one.
Plague Tale.
Honestly, anything other than Elden Ring or God of War Ragnarok would be a below.
I think Horizon would shock me the most, not because it wasn't worth it, but because it was so far back now that most people that I talked to were like, oh, that's within the range, even though it came out at the same time as Elden Ring. So I think that would be my that's what I got.
That's right.
Yeah, because Elden Ring literally came out right afterwards and stole its thunder, and then God of War kind of did what it did, arguably better. So if it was to win, I would be amazed. But yeah, anything other than those two is going to be big.
Yeah, no, it would definitely be Xenoblade for me. Like of all the things, like Stray wouldn't surprise me because everybody loves cats. Like Horizon, everybody loves big open world sandboxes. God of War is God of War, and like even like a Plague Tale, like as like an indie game with like a lot to say and like a lot a lot of heart put behind it, and just like how much it did with a little. I could see that being that kind of like surprise win, but Xenoblade, if that won Game of the Year, I would just like throw something through a screen. Like
I don't know. There's a stronger jury presence from Japan than I realized. I kind of thought that
Yeah, there's
it was
quite a
a
few.
blind
Yeah.
spot that this is mostly like a Western media thing. But
Yeah.
you got 4Gamer, Dengeki, Famitsu, and a bunch of other ones. Like
Mhm.
that, it
big
all depends on the
publications.
audience voting goes.
And
turns
keep
out,
in
it
mind,
is a
there's
component of it.
there's also audience voting. So, dun dun.
Anything's
Anyway.
possible. But if Xenoblade or Plague Tale takes it, yeah, I'll owe somebody $500 probably.
I'll eat my hat.
Live on stream. Eat hat.
Wait, are we betting on these guys?
No.
Office pool.
Yeah, I'm not betting
Anywho.
anything but those two titans. I'm taking a chance.
Maybe we'll consider finishing this up next week because we have more than half the awards
Yeah.
still. But
Well, yeah,
we'll
a lot
see.
of them, like, we get much to say about esports and such like that, but there's a few other interesting categories
yeah.
we could consider. But that's going to do it for us for this week. If you'd like to read more on the Game Awards, you can check out some coverage on the website, as well as a bunch of other topics at cgmagonline.com. Be sure to follow CG Magazine on all the socials. Just search CG Mag, you'll find us. And if you have any questions or comments, you can send them to podcast@cgmagonline.com. Jordan, where can people find you?
You can
In Brazil.
check out. Yeah, you can come down to
Literally.
Brazil, fly down. I'll be here. I'll just be signing shirts and whatnot.
Waiting at the airport. That's cool.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll help you
That's
get
where
through
he
customs,
is.
don't worry.
He's a la the terminal.
Yeah, I live here now. I'm like Tom Hanks in that movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the terminal. I
certificate.
just said that. Ugh.
Yeah,
I
I thought you meant literally the terminal.
No, the movie is called The Terminal.
Yeah, that's why it's confusing. You can check out my stuff on YouTube
No,
at
it's not.
Let him finish.
Where?
We're never gonna-
Where can you?
on,
Let me know.
on
Tell me.
YouTube at Ninja Jordan Reviews. There's a bit of a hiatus right now, but there's old videos you can watch. You can find me eating Brazilian snacks on TikTok and drawing stuff on Instagram at Ninja X Jordan. And that
That's
is all.
true. You can find me not in Brazil and not at an airport right
Yes,
now.
we know that, Kahari. We know that. The guy. The
Oh,
terminal
what do we
just
do?
Died.
What?
The real character.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
Oh,
that's really
no.
depressing, and I didn't know that at all. Ugh, edit this part out later, guys.
I do remember this. It just happens.
Kahari.
I didn't know it was still a thing, I guess. Anywho, follow me on socials because that's cool. At the Dana Eileen in some places. Twitter
Some places.
and Instagram. TikTok too, but I don't recommend that. It's not good for anybody. That-
No.
Nope.
Brendan.
And I'm BFR26 and everything.
And you can find me on pretty much everything at Hoogafy or here on Twitch at Guild2Taps. Speaking of which, my final plug, tomorrow in 23 hours, we're doing our Extra Life Marathon, raising money for children's hospitals by playing games for 24 hours. So you can check out the stream at twitch.tv/Guild2Taps. We'll have links to donations and stuff like that. And the benefits are going to the children's hospitals in London, Ontario and Toronto, both of which
Awesome.
are heavily strained right now and could use your support more than ever. So if you're able to check it out, please do.
They had my back.
They've had a lot
did.
of people's backs that I've known, and I'm glad that they are there if I ever need them to have my back. So,
And they could read more about it on the site because you did a lovely article.
I did. There is a thing there. So one more thing. Yeah, that'll do it for us this week, and we'll catch you next week. Thanks for tuning in.